December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor erupts in chaos as Japanese planes swarm the sky. Bombs whistle through the air, explosions rock the harbor, and the acrid smell of burning oil fills the air. Amid the inferno, USS California fights for her life. At 8:05 a.m., 2 torpedoes slam into California's port side with terrifying force. The mighty battleship shudders as massive holes tear open her hull. Water gushes in, flooding compartments faster than her crew can respond. As California begins to list, her gunners valiantly return fire, their weapons blazing in defiance. Suddenly, a bomb pierces her deck, detonating deep within. The explosion rips through California's innards, igniting fires that rage out of control. Smoke chokes the passageways as sailors battle flames and rising water. Despite the crew's heroic efforts to save her, the ship continues to sink. At 10:02 p.m., the dreaded order comes: abandon ship. Over the next 3 days, California slowly settles into the mud of Pearl Harbor. As she slips beneath the waves, it seems the pride of the Pacific Fleet has met an inglorious end. But fate has other plans for USS California. Though she lies broken and submerged, her story is far from over. In fact, the greatest chapters of her career are yet to be written. From these dark waters, an epic tale of resurrection and redemption is about to unfold. USS California, the second of 2 Tennessee-class battleships, was laid down on October 25, 1916, at the Mare Island Naval Shipyard in California. Stretching 624 feet in length, with a beam of 97 feet 5 inches, California displaced 32,300 long tons as designed, and up to 33,190 long tons at full combat load. One of the larger and more imposing battleships in the U.S. fleet at the time. Her main armament consisted of 12 14-inch 50-caliber guns arranged in 4 triple turrets. These powerful weapons could hurl 1,400-pound shells over 20 miles, making California a potent threat to both land targets and enemy ships. Her secondary battery initially comprised 14 5-inch 51-caliber guns, providing a versatile defense against smaller vessels and aircraft. California's armor scheme followed the all-or-nothing principle, an approach favored by the U.S. Navy, among others in the early 20th century, that concentrated the heaviest protection around the most vital areas, a break from earlier designs, which typically aimed for a more uniform distribution. Her main armor belt was up to 13.5 inches thick, tapering to 8 inches at the lower edge. The main armored deck was 3.5 inches thick, providing crucial protection against plunging fire and bombs. Propulsion was provided by a turbo-electric transmission system, an innovative design for its time. 4 General Electric turbo generators powered 4 electric motors, which in turn drove the propeller shafts. This system, coupled with 8 oil-fired Babcock & Wilcox boilers, allowed California to achieve a top speed of 21 knots, a typical velocity for American battleships of the day. The USS California began its service when it was launched on November 20th, 1919. Less than 2 years later, on August 10th, 1921, it was officially commissioned into the United States Navy. For the next 2 decades, California held a prominent position as the flagship of the battle fleet. During this period, it took part in regular training exercises and yearly fleet problems. These large-scale exercises were crucial in developing and refining naval tactics, particularly in the evolving world of carrier operations. In 1925, she was part of a goodwill cruise to Australia and New Zealand, which also included stops in American Samoa and Pago Pago. The same year, California made history when Lieutenant Dixie Kiefer conducted the first night aircraft launch from a battleship. An aircraft catapult was installed atop one of her main turrets, allowing her to carry and launch up to 3 Vought UO-1 float planes. These aircraft served as spotters for the ship's main guns, dramatically increasing the accuracy and effective range of her fire. Between 1929 and 1930, California underwent her first major refit, in which her secondary battery was upgraded, replacing some of the 5-inch 51 caliber guns with 8 5-inch 25 caliber anti-aircraft guns. This change reflected the growing threat posed by aircraft to capital ships. Additionally, her fire control systems were improved, enhancing her ability to engage both surface and air targets. As tensions rose in the Pacific, California and the rest of the battle fleet were permanently moved to Pearl Harbor in 1940 as a deterrent to Japanese aggression. By 1941, she'd been fitted with the new CXAM radar system, one of the first U.S. Navy ships to receive this technology. When the sun rose on December 7, 1941, USS California was anchored at the farthest south position along Battleship Row. At 7:55 a.m., the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor began. California's crew rushed to battle stations, with Lieutenant Commander Marion Little, the senior officer aboard, ordering the ship to general quarters. At 8:05 a.m., disaster struck. 2 torpedoes slammed into California's port side, creating massive holes in her hull. Water rushed in, and the ship began to list. The situation was exacerbated by the fact that many watertight doors had been left open in preparation for an inspection scheduled for the following day. Despite the chaos, California's crew fought back valiantly. Her anti-aircraft guns blazed away at the attacking planes, reportedly downing 2. However, at 8:45 a.m., a bomb struck the ship, penetrating the deck and exploding inside. The blast claimed the lives of around 50 men and started a fierce fire that spread rapidly. As the battle raged, 4 men aboard California would distinguish themselves through extraordinary acts of heroism, each earning the Medal of Honor. Chief Radio Man Thomas Reeves and machinist's mate First Class Robert Scott both refused to leave their posts, continuing to supply ammunition to the anti-aircraft guns, even as smoke and flames engulfed them. Neither would survive the day. Ensign Herbert C. Jones led efforts to keep ammunition flowing to the guns. Mortally wounded when a bomb hit an ammunition compartment, he refused evacuation, telling his would-be rescuers, quote, "Leave me alone. I'm done for. Get out of here before the magazines go off." Gunner Jackson C. Ferris, despite being injured and twice rendered unconscious by noxious fumes, organized parties to supply ammunition and repeatedly risked his life to rescue shipmates trapped in flooding compartments. Ferris was the only one of the 4 to survive the attack. Despite the courageous efforts of these men and the rest of the crew. At 10:02 a.m., with burning oil from other stricken ships threatening to engulf her, Captain Joel Bunkley gave the order to abandon ship. Over the next 3 days, California slowly sank into the mud of Pearl Harbor. The attack had led to the loss of 98 crew members, with another 61 wounded. It would appear USS California had met a tragic end, destined to spend the rest of her days on the seabed. Yet, she was about to begin a remarkable journey of resurrection. In March 1942, an enormous salvage operation began. The ship was patched, pumped out, and on March 25th, she was refloated. The salvage operation was a complex and dangerous undertaking. As workers pumped water and fuel from the 2nd and 3rd decks, they encountered numerous bodies. These were carefully recovered and sent to the Naval Hospital at Aiea for identification and burial. The process was not only technically challenging, but also emotionally taxing for the salvage crews. After initial repairs at Pearl Harbor, California sailed under her own power to Puget Sound Navy Yard for extensive reconstruction. The rebuilding process was nothing short of miraculous. Her hull was widened to improve stability and underwater protection. New fire control systems were installed. Her secondary battery was replaced with 16 5-inch 38 caliber dual-purpose guns in twin turrets. 40 40mm Bofors and 43 20mm Oerlikon guns were added for anti-aircraft defense. California's superstructure was completely redesigned, and additional armor was added to improve her resistance to air attack. The changes were so extensive that her crew complement nearly doubled, from 57 officers and 1,026 enlisted men to 114 officers and 2,129 enlisted men. The reconstruction also addressed vulnerabilities exposed during the Pearl Harbor attack. The ship's underwater protection was significantly enhanced, and measures were taken to improve compartmentalization and damage control capabilities. These changes would prove crucial in California's future combat operations. Incredibly, on January 31, 1944, just a little over 2 years after she sank at Pearl Harbor, USS California steamed out of Puget Sound, reborn and ready for action. She wasted no time getting back into the fight. Throughout June and July of 1944, the battleship unleashed its firepower to support the Allied offensives on Saipan, Guam, and Tinian, key islands in the Marianas Chain. During these operations, California's guns pounded Japanese positions, clearing the way for American troops to land and secure these strategic islands. Her 14-inch guns proved particularly effective against hardened defensive positions, while her new anti-aircraft batteries helped defend the invasion fleet against Japanese air attacks. On June 14th, during the Saipan operation, California came under fire from a Japanese 4.7-inch field gun. A shell struck the ship aft of the fire control platform, taking the life of 1 man and injuring 10. The hit disabled California's air search radar and started a fire, but damage control teams quickly contained the blaze. This incident demonstrated both the ship's vulnerability and her improved damage control capabilities. The USS California found itself at the center of naval warfare's most massive confrontation in October 1944, when it engaged in the historic Battle of Leyte Gulf. On the night of October 24th, she was part of the American battle line that decimated a Japanese force in the Battle of Surigao Strait. This engagement would go down in history as the last battleship versus battleship action ever fought. At 3:52 a.m., California opened fire, engaging the leading Japanese vessel at a range of 20,400 yards. Despite some initial confusion in maneuvering, California continued to pour fire into the Japanese fleet. By the end of the action, she had fired a total of 63 shells from her main battery, contributing to the sinking of the Japanese battleship Yamashiro and several other enemy vessels. USS California's journey to reclaim its glory faced additional challenges. As it supported the Lingayen Gulf landing in the Philippines on January 6, 1945, the battleship endured a sudden strike from a Japanese kamikaze aircraft. The impact caused 44 fatalities and wounded 155. But California's crew once again rose to the challenge. They quickly extinguished the fires and kept the ship in action for 2 more weeks before she finally withdrew for repairs. Returning to service once more, California supported the invasion of Okinawa in the final months of the war. During this operation, she provided crucial fire support for troops ashore and helped defend the invasion fleet against kamikaze attacks. When Japan surrendered in August 1945, California was present in Tokyo Bay, a fitting testament to her journey from the depths of Pearl Harbor to the final triumph over Japan. With the war over, California's days as a frontline warship were numbered. Yet she had one more vital task to perform. As part of Operation Magic Carpet, she helped bring home American servicemen who had been fighting in the Pacific Theater. This operation saw California transform from a weapon of war to a vessel of homecoming, carrying thousands of jubilant servicemen back to their families in the United States. On February 14, 1947, California was decommissioned and placed in reserve. For 12 years, she remained in the reserve fleet, a silent sentinel of a bygone era of naval warfare. Her long and storied career came to an end on March 1, 1959. On this date, the Navy officially removed her name from the Naval Vessel Register, and the once mighty battleship was subsequently sold off and scrapped. Although California's physical form was dismantled, her legacy lives on. The ship's bell, weighing 350 pounds, was saved and put on display in Sacramento at the California State Capitol Park, serving as a tangible reminder of the ship's service and sacrifice. Her incredible journey from sunken wreck to war hero stands as an interesting reflection of the broader narrative of the U.S. Navy's recovery and adaptation following the Pearl Harbor attack.